What's going on, everybody? TheKennyDubz here with another Mega Man X Dive character overview video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming summer units releasing in global tomorrow, or I guess tomorrow. I'll be taking a look at Summer Ferham. Alright, I said Summer Ferham, but like the character is actually called Swimsuit Ferham, not Summer Ferham. So there is that. We already took a look at her and her splash screen over in my character overview video, but let's take a look at the splash screen once again because I do like the background, like the sunset they have going on for her here. Okay, taking a look at the skills, we have Storm of his first attack skill, continuously inflict under 13% attack damage to all targets in the air, roughly under 13 because I rounded up. So for the modifier chips, we have mobility, reduce prep time by 20%, which is always good. Speed whip, damage register accelerated by 25%. And chain, after using the skill, forcefully pull the target within range that has been disabled by the chain trap towards you, only effective on players. So that'll be very good for PvP. And when it says the chain trap, that's referring to her skill 2, chain trap. Place an invisible chain trap that will activate when touched by a target or after 20 seconds, dealing damage and disabling targets within range. Skill counted as a summon, so you'll be able to mitigate damage versus this with Summon Sentinel, but this doesn't do all that much damage as it is. To my knowledge, anyway, I'm pretty sure it doesn't do all that much damage. It does say it deals damage, but it doesn't tell you here how much damage it is because I don't know. I really don't like how vague this game is a lot of the times with its descriptions. But power increase damage of chain trap rate by 5%. Long lasting trap, extend the duration of chain trap by 150%, but its damage multiplier reduced by 50%, which I think is okay. Then we have this one, chained up, the duration of disablement is increased by 50%. Disabling cannot be removed and ignores protective shield. Now I think that disablement for this means immobilized. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's mean like seal, but I feel like it would say like at weapon seal or skill seal if that was the case. Okay, so I'm looking at the wiki now to see if it gives me any actual like critical information about how the skill works. And so chain trap, it does a good chunk of damage. It's 185% attack damage, which is great. Disablement. Okay, disablement is apparently slow. That doesn't make any sense to me. But that's not really disabling. Like, I hear disabling, I would like, okay, so probably immobilized because you can't move when you're immobilized. Like, you know, your character would be considered like disabled because they wouldn't be able to do, you know, move. But slowed is apparently what it's referring to on the wiki. Okay, sure. And the duration of the slow is 2 seconds. It'll be 3 seconds with this though. So that's not too bad, and then you can combo that with this and pull them towards you, as long as they're within range, that is. So that's quite nice. I don't like how they swap the wording for a status ailment with this one, with this attack right here though. That's not consistent with anything else they've done, because other attacks they'll tell you this like, hey, slowed, alright, does more damage when the target is slowed, etc, etc, like inflict slow or chilled. Right, but this one is like disabled, so I mean, I guess for now I'm going to, like, when I hear disabled, I guess I'll think slow. But for the statuses, again, I don't like this one because it's very, very vague. Beginning on the stage, again, an enhanced crit status that cannot be removed. The schedule only be activated once per stage. Doesn't tell you how much increases your crit by. It just tells you, hey, you get one, right? Luckily, over here on the wiki on the side, it is a 210% increase, and it lasts 40 seconds. So that's very, very nice to have that information, that critical information there. That's pretty good. Pretty common for him as well. Makes me wonder if she was more of like if she focused on crits in command mission, just because of how her character seemed to always be involved with crits here. Next up, we have Large Trap, increases the range of detection of chain trap by 25%. Quality of the Queen, when above 50% HP, damage increased by 10%. Armor Protection, when activating Storm Whip, this skill will provide the enhanced defense status and reduce damage taken by 20%. See, like, I know I'm going to be saying this a lot, but like, see, like this, it tells you exactly what it does. enhanced defense, enhanced defense state and reduce damage taken by 20%. Right? It tells you right there, but here it just doesn't tell you, and I don't know why. Passionate Bathing Suit, extend the duration of Here Comes the Queen by 30%, increases the effective quality of the Queen by 30%. So this gets increased and this gets increased, so that is very, very nice as well. I don't know if it will be released with her DNA, but I'll look at it anyway just so that you guys know what it is. Protective Shield, when casting Storm Whip, gain a shield that can withstand 95% attack damage. This effect can only be triggered again once more after a 4-second cooldown. So, you use her skill 1, you get a shield. Oh, yeah, you get a shield there, so that's quite nice. And you also get enhanced defense status as well. So you'll take 20% less damage alongside getting her shield, which is very, very nice. The pursuit becomes accelerated after using Storm Whip, increasing movement speed by 35%. This effect can only be used once more after 4-second cooldown. So using her Storm Whip is like, you probably want to open with her Storm Whip so you get your shield, you get your attack bonus, and you get your defense bonus, so that you can close the gap more easily. And then maybe by the time you reach your opposition, you can put down, you put down a trap, or you can even use it as an escape. As well, not in the traditional, like get in, get out, like kind of thing, but just because you get, you get a shield, you get a defense buff, and you get a speed buff as well, so you can use it to engage or disengage. And then you have your chain trap as well to place down, and it's invisible. So like it says invisible, but I don't know if you see where it is or if just your opponent doesn't see where it is. Right, because if neither one of you can see where it is, that's a bit of a problem for you, because you need to be able to see where it is, so that you know if you're probably likely within range after it's triggered. Well, you probably know after it's triggered because it might be an audio cue. But if it's invisible to both you and the opponent, I feel like you should be able to see it, but your opponent shouldn't be able to see it, to be quite honest. But then we have Lethal Chain. The prep time for Chain Trap reduced by 20%, and Chain Trap hits a slow target, the damage increased by 20%. See, this right here, it says slow target, but according to what I'm reading on the wiki, the disable means slow as well. So they're actively choosing to use different wording for the same skill, and I'm not sure why. But hey, hit a slow target, increase damage by 20%. That's probably okay. You can inflict slow with various chips or various weapons in general, like the Red Scorpion chip. I forgot the name of it, but it's the one. It's a Red Alert boss from X7, I'm pretty sure. And for Ferham's recombined DNA here, her unique one, enhanced crit echo. When you are in crit enhanced status, reduce damage taken by 8%. That's okay. You would be in enhanced crit for a while, assuming you don't die. So 40 seconds is pretty good. I don't know how effective that's actually going to be in practice. Like, it sounds good, because you have a long-lasting crit status, but then after that crit status wears off, you don't inherently have another way to refresh or get another crit status, so you have to use something else that would give you crit status, like the Overdrive Osh's chip on a machine gun. There are probably other things that give you crit status, but I can't think of them off the top of my head anyway. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Crit echo. Some other interesting things here as well on here, like Player Killer 3 is very, very nice. But yeah, that's basically it for Swimsuit Ferham's kit. Let's take a look at some weapons that might go well with Swimsuit Ferham. So first, I think Cannon God will be a decent weapon to use on her, just because Cannon God can pierce terrains. You set that on Invisible Trap. Let's say, like, just using cyberspace as an example, right? Cannon God is very, very good on cyberspace because You can just pierce the terrains whenever. So if you put a trap down on the other side of the wall and cut your opposition to it, you can hit them with the, with the Mechanic God no matter where you are. This will apply like basically anywhere because Mechanic God just pierces terrain. But I figured that Cyber would be a good example to use for that, just because it, I think Cannon God is I feel like that's one of like the best examples for Cannon God, right? That most people would know. But also, we haven't had that many maps in global. I think we have Factory as well, that has a decent chunk of terrain, which can be used on it as well. But Cyberspace, I think, was the first one that we got, so I think that one's a bit more memorable to use it as an example, anyway. As per usual, melee weapons, Nightmare, and Berserker Greatsword I think will be fine as well, because your trap will be able to allow you to slow them down. So that gives you a nice little slowing effect so that you can pizza cut pretty freely. On top of that, you can use your S1 to bring them towards you after you slow them down with your trap, and they'll have a harder time getting away, but them being drawn towards you means you have an easier time hitting them, with a melee weapon as well. And with the hidden skill of Nightmare, if you opt to use crit amplification, you have a higher chance. You'll have a very, very high chance of critting them in general. And then Berserker Greatsword, just Berserker Greatsword. This has a slowing effect on it as well, with the Dimensional Rift, so that could combo with her last DNA passive alongside it. And in the awkward event, you opt to use the Mega Scorpio is the name of it. You can slow with that on the melee weapon as well to make use, to get more value out of that as well. But having a target slowed and then landing a Dimensional Rift on them is still pretty nice as well, because they'll have a harder time getting away. Like, you could also pull them back towards you with your S1 if they're hit into the trap. I think Ancient Relic's also a decent option as well. I don't usually talk about Ancient Relic as much, but I think Ancient Relic's a pretty solid option. You can even go with the Protective Rune or the Assault Rune here. Maybe not Assault Rune, but Protective Rune or Speed Rune as well to get a even bigger. Honestly, I think all the hidden skills for this are pretty good, depending on what you want to go for. You can kind of just pick one and use that alongside your build. Protective Rune, though, might not be the best idea, because Ferham inherently has her own shield, and you can overwrite her shield with a weaker shield, which would be pretty unfortunate, to be quite honest, just because that's something you can do, so you'd have to play a little bit more carefully around that. I mentioned Cannon God before, but I didn't touch upon it. Turbo Cannon. Turbo Cannon is just a good weapon. Like, the overheat protection is just so nice. So that would give you a source of iframes when on a character like Ferham you don't have any iframes. You have shields, but you don't have iframes. I don't have healing either. So I think Turbo Cannon would be a fantastic option on her as well. Speaking of healing, I'm still kind of ambivalent on whether or not I want to mention this, but I will mention it because it's not out yet, but it will be dropping on the banner alongside Swimsuit Ferham, is the Bubble Bomber. And I actually really like the Bubble Bomber for PvE content. It is a launcher type weapon, and it actually heals you when you get hit. Now, I don't really like the fact that it heals you when you get hit. I'd prefer just like not needing to get hit for the healing, but it's as long as you get hit. So if you get hit with your shield is up, you can heal off of that. On top of that, you have Water Flea Bubble, which you shoot a bubble, and then this launches 4 more water fleas. I don't know why they're called flea bubbles, but so basically, you every so often you get every 2 seconds when firing this weapon, you shoot out 5 pellets that have some sort of tracking, which is quite nice. And then you actually get another one with that, and I believe you can also get regeneration as a skill here, and Purify as well. I figured I would mention this. Like I said, I don't think this is like the best option for a PvP setting, but I like this a lot for PvE. Gator Fangs is a fantastic weapon. There's not really too much to say about Gator Fangs. I talk about, I praise Gator Fangs a lot, and especially with how you can just yoink enemy. You yoink people towards you. You have the potential to do that with Swimsuit Ferham. You can easily get up Rending Fang, Predator, and just deal a whole lot of damage with that as well. Maybe you want to use the Explosive Blower as well alongside that. Explosive Blower isn't as powerful as it used to be way back when, but having access to stuns virtually on command is still quite nice as well, because again, you can just pull people towards you, stun them with your trap, have them slowed down, and then you can proceed to just slice and dice with your preferred weapon. Or maybe you just want to just abuse some skills. The Savage Tusk of Thunder. I have these both on my global account, but Savage Tusk of Thunder, yeah, okay, it's on Savage Tusk of Thunder, and it is Confusion. So Confusion, when it hits a player, it will cause confusion and disables automatic aim, which most people use as it is anyway. But Savage Tusk of Thunder also has Trojan Horses, which, well, okay, so the passive is called Trojan Horse, right? It doesn't actually have Trojans. Which can remove remove buffs from the opposition. And inflicts defense crush alongside that as well. And the Trojan Horse allows you to, like I said, it cleanses, it dispels, and it lowers defense. So that's pretty nice as well. Alongside your crit status, you should be hitting a lot harder. But because you kind of want to be somewhat close to the opposition anyway, which you might end up being due to the traps and like bringing them towards you, having them disable auto aim might be pretty useful as well. This is an option. I don't know if you actually want to go this option, because I feel like this would be more of a not necessarily something that you do intentionally, like because it's very, very effective, like it's meta. I feel like this would be something more to use, not necessarily gimmicky. I guess maybe I want to say like more niche, or closer to anti-meta. Just because more often than not, people will be using, like I said, will be using auto aim. I use auto aim a lot, mostly, but that's because I play an emulator. So using manual aim ain't exactly gonna work for me. But yeah, this is an option I think that you could use that might actually end up performing very well. Inflicting out of control isn't bad with atomic disintegration, but one of the biggest problems with atomic disintegration is the frame drops. When using this weapon, you can inflict out of control so that it reverses their left and right movements, which could be useful when you bring them towards you. But this weapon actually dropped. Like whenever I use this weapon in co-op, there's a very, very noticeable difference in the amount of frames that are being used. So just be mindful of that if you're going to use this weapon. Frames will drop, you'll start lagging, and it's not going to be a fun time for you or the opponent, probably. Guess I'll mention as well, double sniper is also an option you can do. Personally, I prefer double sniper as my preferred play style. But the thing is with Ferham, one of her skills wants you to be close range, and with double sniper, you're not necessarily going to be close range. So I wouldn't highly recommend this for Ferham in particular. But it is an option that you can do. You can use, get your Sniper Buster, your Explosive Bolt, your Destructive Lasers, and things like that. Like I said, I wouldn't really recommend this one. If you're going to go a double sniper, I would suggest a character that would get more benefit out of that. One that doesn't require you to be too close. But it is still something you can do. And then, depending on the map, you might want to be more mindful of terrain. So then you might want to lean more towards the Explosive Bolt. I think Explosive Bolt is more beneficial on maps that are that you can make use of the ricochet on. Outside of that, I think Explosive Bolt is probably one of the weaker sniper weapons, sniper busters. But Yeah, and then there's another one you can use as well that I don't really want to touch on all that much because it's not out in global yet. But Hawk Precision Buster, it is a sniper buster that ignores terrain. So that's something you could do when you're in quick hunt status. Oh no, yeah, you can. Once you're in quick hunt, Falcon Wings, you can just ignore terrain. Like I said, I don't really want to touch on that though because that's not in global. But I think there's a few weapons that can pair well with Swimsuit Ferham. She doesn't actually have inherently any like passive or skills that allow her to synergize with weapons, so that's why like I feel like this characters like this, it's a bit more open in what you can use with them, but you have to be a bit more mindful of things like if you want to go double sniper, you won't really be using too much of her S1 because you won't really be that close to the opposition. But that's enough of that. You can ultimately end up using whatever you want to use. So let's take a look at some cards. Alright, so for cards for Swimsuit Ferham, this is actually going to be a lot harder than it usually is for me because it's a lot easier for me to recommend weapons for characters as they usually have some sort of specialty that they like to use. Swimsuit Ferham does not have any weapons she would like to use. She likes to crit. That's really it with her. She has a crit, she has a shield. She doesn't really have any inherent healing. So her cards, like, kind of as per usual, it's going to depend on what weapons you want to use with her. But, also kind of as per usual, I'm going to recommend the generic cards that are good for PvP, such as M. Bison. It has Player Killer on the card. We have the Life Aura card from base EXE. It has Player Killer 2 on the card. We have Mac. Mac is an A-rank card that everyone has access. Well, it's not a guaranteed card, but everyone can fairly easily get it. I have like 4 or 5 of these on my global account. There's Player Killer attached to that. Oh, Will Gator has Player Killer as well, which I was not aware of. And then from there, just like I said, it's going to depend on what you kind of want to add into your build or what weapon you're using. You could make use of the Rainbow Mika card as Player Sentinel and Thorough Preparation Up to Ability 1. You don't really have healing on Swimsuit Ferham inherently, but you do have a shield, you do have a defense buff. Further bolster defense with Player Sentinel 1, which wouldn't be too bad. You could also opt to go for some resistances as well, like the Dan card has a mobilize and slow resistance attached to it. You could put on whatever resistance you want realistically, but that's just, I'm just using this as an example. So like if you want slow resistance and mobilize resistance, you're gonna put on Dan, or maybe you want no weapon resistance, or you want out of control resistance, so you put on Juri Han. And then if you're using Buster weapons, then obviously you're going to want something like Buster Amplification. Maybe on Buster Adaptability, Airman. Oh, I don't think Airman EXE is in global. Oops, I shouldn't have shown that one. But something that is in global, if I can find it, Access Memories has Buster Amplification attached to it and has a mobilize resistance. Now this is a max Access Memories, so inherently it has Buster Amp 2 and mobilize resistance 2. So just make sure you're aware of that. I believe this weapon or this card is in global right now. This has no weapon resistance on it, so you could use this if you want no weapon resistance. I forgot to mention Akuma earlier when I was talking about cards that are generically good for PvP. It has Way of the Fist, so this will stack with any level of Player Killer because this has a different name. If you have to go for a Buster and melee build, you can use the Elite Hunters card, which you get from the guild. Just be aware that by default you have Buster double amp 2 and double ability 2, not 3. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to depend on what stuff you're going to want to be using with your Swimsuit Ferham. Because there's a lot more, you have a lot more flexibility because she doesn't really have a weapon she specializes with. But like I said, I think that melee weapons would be good on her. Melee weapons or sprayer weapons, so I think you want to lean more into those. Or maybe you want to use like Cannon God and something else. I think like I said, if Cannon God's pretty good, I think because it can just ignore terrain. So wherever you put the trap, Cannon God can probably hit the opposition from. But Yeah, I think you have a lot more freedom to use for building with Swimsuit Ferham. The problem is having a lot more freedom so that you can use. There's a lot more things that you can use, but like I said, the things that I think work the best probably either sprayer swords, and then maybe Cannon God in particular. Cannon God, Turbo Cannon. Alright, I think that'll be it for going with Swimsuit Ferham for today. I like Swimsuit Ferham. I will not be pulling for her. If you are pulling for her, good luck to you. Hopefully you get her. I will be doing the one free pull, and maybe I'll get her. Or maybe I'll get Swimsuit Tron or the Bubble Blaster. But, yeah, like I said, I like her. I don't like how vague it is with some of the wording on her, and I don't know if she's getting her DNA. I'm going to hope that she is dropping with her DNA, because that would be very, very nice. But yeah, that's it for this video. Real quick, just want to give a shout out to those of you who support me on Patreon or our YouTube channel members. Thank you for supporting what I do and allowing me to continue. If you'd like to support me via YouTube channel membership or via my Patreon, you can find that information down below the video or down below in the video description as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Later.